fellow sisters, queens. Today I want to talk about the 3 feminine superpowers. You might have heard me talk about this before, but just so that we can recap. They are healing, intuition and creativity. Three. Now, it's a wonderful thing to be able to say that we have feminine superpowers. So what we're saying is that each one of us has at least one of those superpowers, and the lucky ones among us may have even 3. But if we've got one, or we're called to something that fits into the heading of one of those things, we're definitely on the right track in terms of expressing our femininity. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about femininity in the context of how it actually operates inside of us. Because we've been led to believe that femininity is to do with how we act and how we operate as women. So what we tend to do is we dress a certain way, or we have our hair a certain way, or we use makeup, and we talk in a little girly voice, or we walk in a certain way, and those things are what the world would describe femininity to be out there. If you were to ask people just randomly what that means, that's the kind of thing that we're going to get back. But in actual fact, femininity is very, very much more deeper than that. It's something that's inside of our hearts that comes out. Our femininity is grounded inside of us, and it comes out in our expression of our femininity, our 3 feminine superpowers. So remember, healing, creativity and intuition. Now, these 3 things are really, really important. So the chances are that you'll identify with one of those, perhaps more than, say, another one of those, and that's absolutely fine. But what I would like us to do is be on a journey of exploring all 3. Okay. Now, this is a really difficult, highly emotive journey in a lot of ways, simply for the fact that historically us women have been oppressed and repressed and shut down, and terrible evils have happened to womankind because of these 3 feminine superpowers historically. So all of us have grown up with the legacy of these horrible things in our background, generation upon generation upon generation. And what we've done is we've squashed these superpowers down a bit. So if we're going to come to a place when we are going to rise up as women, as feminine beings, what we need to do is we need to reclaim our superpowers, because they're worth reclaiming, aren't they? They're wonderful. So what I'm saying is it's time to reclaim them, and it's time to use these things for the greater good of the world, and it's time to stand kind of almost alongside our sisters who have been terribly abused because of these things. And remember, back in the 1600s or so, we had the witch trials, and women were accused of witchcraft, and they were basically, if you got accused of witchcraft, that was it. There was no defence for you. That really was it. They would find some means or another means to kill you. They'd kill the guilty. They'd kill the innocent. As long as you'd been accused of it, they would have killed you by one way or another. So these women who are being accused of witchcraft back in their day were simply women who were alive and awake to these feminine superpowers, particularly intuition and healing, particularly. So, for example, women that practiced maybe the healing arts of medicine using herbs, and used that in their community, and people got healed, they would have been singled out. The wise women maybe would have been singled out for persecution. Sometimes in some communities the women may have had some kind of insight into a situation, and the person involved may have died, or the medicines may have not worked, and that woman may have been accused then of casting spells. Can you see? So that's where the witchcraft element kind of starts to come in from it, because things are not understood. And so when a threat is made because of misunderstanding, people start to lose their lives. And this is what's happened to us women over thousands and thousands of years. It's time to reclaim it. Time to reclaim it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our superpowers. Okay, so creativity is really our life force. And I personally don't know any single woman who is not doing something creative. And it really could be anything. So I would implore you to explore your creative side. Now, some of us are already there. We're crafty mad, we're doing creative things all of the time. Brilliant. You just keep trucking along. That's fantastic. Take it to a new place, and obviously post your creations on our page, and we can celebrate and rejoice with you. That would be fantastic to see that. So it is our life force, and when we create something, we're bringing something of that life force out into an object, and we're giving it life, aren't we? And that's an expression of what we do as women. Remember that we are the ones who carry and nurture the baby inside us, and we give birth to that baby, and that is us being creative in a very physical sense to bring forth new life. Now, it's perfectly okay for women to not choose to be mothers. That's absolutely fine. There's no problem with that whatsoever. Obviously, some are choosing that actively, and some are, without children because it's not their choice, it's just their circumstances. So either way, if you are a lady who has not had children and is not probably going to have children, for whatever your reason, be loved. Okay, it does not make you less of a woman, no way, because that creative life force is still inside you. Okay, so it's about finding ways to bring it to life, bring that thing to life. So I really encourage you to get painting, get drawing, make music, sing, dance, create, sew, knit, mould, sculpt. Whatever it is that floats your boat, do it, because it's not about the thing necessarily, but it's about awakening that life force within you to be creative, because in that way, you see, we can bring out part of this feminine superpower, which is just so unique to us. So it's life-giving, life-affirming, and that's what we want to see. It's fantastic. Okay. Intuition. Okay, now I would say that I'm highly intuitive. I find it quite easy to read people and situations, and identify people who are lying to me and that kind of thing. Okay, so that's really what intuition is. It's inside us, and it's from a different place from creativity, but it's a super duper feminine superpower. It really is, because actually that, when it's used for good, can also bring life, but it brings protection, because we can identify people ahead of time who may bring us and our loved ones harm. Can you see? So without being somebody that intuits out of fear, because we could see demons around every corner, couldn't we, if we really tried hard? I don't think it's about that. It's about knowing that we know that certain things, certain people, certain situations, certain conversations are going to lead to a dangerous place ahead of time, and we're going to find a way around that to change that path, or we're going to avoid it completely. And that's really what intuition is about. It's about relieving oppression. So when we're able to read into somebody from their picture or their words or whatever, actually what we're doing is we're countering oppression for that person in their life, and again we're bringing life, aren't we? So it's the same thing again. So the thing to remember with intuition is that it's never ever for evil purposes. We must never be in a place where we use our intuition for bringing somebody down or bringing somebody harm, because that's not the feminine way. The feminine way is to grow and expand and give life and breath. Okay, so as long as we're using our intuition for good purposes, we're on the right track. So I would encourage you to explore some of that. That might be for some of us much more hidden down, because that seems to be the one of the superpowers that's really been squashed out of us, because people are very threatened when they come across somebody that's highly intuitive, and I speak from personal experience there. So we need to tread carefully with intuition, but we also do need to step into it. So if you haven't ever thought about that before, I would start that by simply people watching and watching their body language to see if that person may be happy or sad, and see if we can work out something about that person's energy that's coming across without saying a word. We never have to ask them, of course. You never have to do that. But let's just see if that's the place to start, just by people watching and seeing if we can relate to people in a kind of energetic way. Okay, and healing. Well, healing is amazing. Now, that's not necessarily about being the world's greatest nurse. Well, that might be. You might be. Fantastic if you are. There is a lady on our page. It is a wonderful nurse, actually. So this is definitely her calling. But healing is way bigger than just nursing. That's not what I mean. Healing is about bringing our softness to bring comfort, and as a loving balm. It's about slowing a situation down to diffuse anger. It might be about holding somebody whilst they cry. That's very healing. It might be about learning to do some kind of energy work, or it might be about those kinds of things, or alternative medicine in some field or another field. But whatever it is, you can identify it and say, yes, I'm going to be, or I've got the skills of, or I'm really into the feminine superpower of healing. So again, I would encourage us all to just experiment with those things, and see if we can use our words and our emotions and our way to bring healing and health to other people. Okay, so it might just start with mindful eating. For example, you might say, my family's not going to eat meat anymore, or we're only going to eat no junk food. It might start in a very simple way like that, and that's brilliant. It's brilliant. So 3 feminine superpowers we're going to explore together: healing, creativity, intuition. So I really want us to go for it, because they're absolutely fabulous, aren't they? And let us know how you get on, and